future discussion. Anybody else have anything? None? Public comment. Anybody have something they wanna bring before the board? 3-minute time limit? No, you don't because you find your builder. Anybody else? Nothing. Okay, you got the minutes from the February 20th meeting for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any questions? Or discussion? There being none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Noes? Thank you. Okay, for a pre-application, we have Chad Young. It's been in here. It's been reviewed by several of us, and we got a letter from OSS for their review. I thought the problem was with lot 1, but I was looking at it wrong and found out that lot 1's fine.
No, the problem is with lot one. Lot one is the one with,
Yeah, but it's
fine, but
it's not conforming, but it's
Yeah.
existing. Is it dimensioning one? I'm looking for it.
It's 132 feet across the front.
What is it?
132 feet.
Should be right along 16.
That's for lot 1. There's no dimension on the other lot beside it. But you're not doing anything with that.
No.
You're technically not dividing it, subdividing it or anything, it's just an existing lot.
This is a tank that they didn't show before.
No, it's up here.
Down here.
Tank's gonna go right where that end is here. He knows he has to do that.
this used to be,
But we should bring it
this
up.
used to be one piece.
No, it's missing.
It's part of this.
In our motion. That's it. If it meets all the other criteria. And we have to have, this will be in the motion, show the septic. OSS doesn't have anything else on
Yeah. So, comment number 1 under zoning, that's regarding section 808 of the zoning ordinance, subsection A. And it stipulates that if 2 or more unimproved lots with continuous frontage in a single or under a single ownership, they're considered unsubdivided. So I think that's where we need the interpretation of the zoning officer on how to handle those 2 front lots.
it. Is just something else should be said there then?
I mean, it's just what kind of future improvements would be allowed, and then how those,
On the unmarked lot or on lot 1?
on both, because they're both non-conforming.
Well, if non-conforming, we just, acknowledge that it's non-conforming. The lot that's not being, changed, there's no pluses or minuses for that lot, so it's just a non-conforming lot.
Right, but your ordinance reads that they're considered one lot that's not subdivided. So the interpretation would be, how is that shown on the plat? And what kind of future improvements might be needed to bring it into conformity? If you have a copy of your ordinance, it's section 808A. The second sentence of that.
Probably the first thing I would mention is, the 150 foot is at the building line. So we'd have to know at 50 feet back what the dimension is at 50 feet, or I'm sorry, 40 feet. 40-foot building line. But if it's non-conforming, we're assuming it is. What I was just told though, that there was an existing house on there,
Correct.
and it's not shown. I think the house should be shown, but it would still be non-conforming.
Yeah, that's a separate parcel.
You could probably drag it out that far, but
And I think maybe that's what LSSC is confused by. They think it's a vacant lot and he could possibly combine those two properties, but you can't, because there's two houses there. They're two different parcels, two different houses. You can't ever combine those two properties together, because you can't have two residents on one parcel. So I think that's what got LSSC confused, because it's shown on there as a vacant lot.
yeah, I looked at it as a
Yeah.
vacant lot, but if there's
But I
a
think
house
that's,
on there,
I think that's what got somebody confused there.
we need to show the house on there.
Okay.
That's my opinion. That way, there's no confusion. Right now, it's confusing because it's non-conforming. And I would mark that as a non-buildable lot. But if there's an existing house on there, then it's just non-conforming.
Yeah.
So I'd want to show the house on there. Is there something about the house that you don't want to show it?
No?
No, somebody lives there. It's occupied.
I'd show the house. That would satisfy LSS, I think. You agree? And, because what I would ask is that it be marked non-conforming. But if there's a house on there, it's non-conforming, but we can see it's an existing non-conforming.
Okay.
So that's why I would want to show the structure. Then, you know about the septic. We need to show the septic for lot 2, the septic tank.
Yes.
So, that would be included on the motion to approve. Anybody see anything else? The other, Art? Our partners here, they see anything?
No, I would just recommend if you're looking at text amendments, you might want to amend that section A so that it's not reading that those are considered an undivided parcel, because that's limiting on what could be developed in theory.
So you're saying
What do you mean by that? I just want, I'm trying to understand, make sure I understand that.
I mean, we need an interpretation from your zoning officer, which was noted, but I would read this as they're considered one parcel in the context of the zoning ordinance, so there would really only allowed to be one dwelling unit. Because it says the land involved shall be considered an undivided parcel.
Even though there's two,
Right, that's just strange wording, that's like.
So I would recommend a text amendment, possibly consulting with your solicitor for a proper way on how to handle that.
But if they show the house there, the dwelling, would that change it? No?
Obviously, I don't think it's from any fault by the applicant, it's just the way that it reads.
you're saying that it's poorly worded, basically,
Yes.
because they already have two houses.
Mhm.
It's been there, it's not.
It's been non-conforming.
So the
Two
issues,
separate parcels,
the
two
issues
separate-
with the way that
Yeah.
this is worded.
Two separate parcels, two separate tax rules, however, the way it reads.
Even if they were two separate ones and you bought neighboring properties, now this is saying that it's one.
Yes.
And again, no fault exists.
Yeah.
But it's already divided then.
Mm-hmm.
Since undivided.
bought my neighbor's property
Says undivided on it.
beside mine,
Your own ordinance would state.
this would say that's one piece of property, which we can't have. Okay. I'm just trying to understand why it's an issue when it's existing houses.
Existing houses, ordinance says something outside of their privy, that we might even know that until somebody brings it in front of you, so.
Wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I would consider a corrective text amendment more than anything, so these other ones.
So that has nothing to do with him, that's something that needs fixed in our.
Yes, and there's a separate process for corrective text amendments that don't go through the same process as a regular text amendment, so.
So what do I need to do?
We are paying, nothing, just, yeah. We just have to make sure that in terms of you all, that gets adjusted, so that the next applicant doesn't fall.
So what LSS is recommending is we make a wording change in our ordinance. There's nothing to really do with this plan, although the plan kinda emphasizes it.
Yes.
You wouldn't have to do anything more.
No.
All I have to do now is just put that house on survey with the separate parcels.
And except,
Okay.
those are two things so far.
Yeah, that handles question one, it handles question two, and then the number one under the subdivision, we don't see any problem with the waiver, and I'll go through the point there. So.
Okay.
So
Any
do
other questions?
I'll have the survey, put this on paper, then now what's my next step? Do I submit it back to Jens or?
Yeah, good, yeah, good, I would say to get that prior to the supervisors, they just had that septic, and had that building.
Well, based on the motion that we'll make tonight,
Okay,
so far, there's two corrections, you're familiar with them. We gotta go through a checklist and see if there's anything else.
okay,
And we're gonna do that right now, before we move to approve.
okay,
Now, once it's approved, you have to correct those things that we suggest, and you bring it back here to Lori to prepare for the supervisors meeting, so they approve it,
okay,
with the corrections. And if they approve it, which would be next 2 weeks, week from Tuesday, then you, bring it back to Lori again, so she can record it, have it recorded.
I'll talk to you about it to go through all the steps.
okay.
Okay, so let's go through the checklist.
Okay, so, and we're also waiting for county comments, so that has to be one of your
Say it one more
conditions.
time.
County comments.
Yeah, we'll make the motion on,
Yeah, I just didn't want you
with
to
our
forget
comments.
that. Okay,
Yeah, Beaver County, yes.
okay, name and address of property owners,
Yeah,
name and address of surveyor,
yep,
title block,
yep.
highway occupancy permit notation,
What's on the notation?
Highway HOP.
Anybody see it?
Should be a signature block probably on the right.
I'm looking.
Number C on notes, top left, it says plat requires a highway officer pursuant to section, so, yeah, it's on there.
so,
Okay.
Got it?
development restrictions under clean and green,
Does it apply? Is it in clean and green, Jeff?
No,
Doesn't apply.
Should be designated.
That's part F, it says these two parcels do not have any restrictions under the clean and green.
Okay, good.
site location map,
Yep.
lots or parcels are numbered or lettered,
With these, those, one up there, and across there, and this in the back.
Okay.
Yep,
tax parcel numbers for divided and adjacent properties,
yep,
names adjacent property owners,
yep.
to be retained or conveyed on each lot?
Yes, here. I would say have to be conveyed from unrentable park. I would say yes.
Yeah. Well, she has the Z's in
Is that a state road or a township road? Is the name or?
State.
it. That's a state road.
So then name and
68.
state number on there?
Yeah.
Okay, so township road, no. Is there a private road or anything?
Well, this is there's a gravel driveway going back there, it's not marked private, but
Gravel,
it's gravel.
Okay.
I don't see, he owns both lots, so.
Okay, floodplain area?
Yeah, it's up on the hill.
Lots comply with subdivision regulations.
Well, there's be two non-conforming lots, but existing. So they apply.
Okay, lots comply with zoning regulations,
Yep.
building setback lines.
Yep.
Location, existing buildings, pools, etc.
We're assuming you're showing all the buildings that are existing there. Yep.
Size and width of property and lots.
Yes.
Roadway, frontage.
It'd be that one. Yep.
Planning module needed.
Well, we got a letter from Winkler
Right.
that he looked at the
It's okay. Mhm.
septic on lot one, and he said there was an available area on lot one for a future septic if needed.
Okay. North arrow and scale.
Yep.
Date of original and all revisions.
Right here if there's any. I don't see a date.
We would have that on the next set where they add.
There's no revisions, he's shown the plan, so there hasn't been any revisions.
It's not, that's not public water sewer.
No.
Utility easements.
There is one line going through. It's shown,
Contour intervals,
yes,
closure counts.
yes, they're
Map.
separate paper,
Mhm. Map at 100 scale or less.
yes.
Okay, so acknowledgements, property owner adoption.
We dealt with it. Right here. Got it. There.
Registered surveyor, PA certified.
That'd be this one.
Yeah, it's title.
This one, yes,
Engineer.
Yeah.
Planning, Township Planning Commission.
Yep.
Beaver County Planning Commission.
Yep.
Beaver County Recorder of Deeds.
Yep.
Board of Supervisors.
looking for it.
This will be right above the property line, it's in the middle, you'll see the New Sewickley Township Engineer seal, right beside it, Board of Township of New Sewickley.
There.
To the right of that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, any other comments?
No, we just need a motion to include the house on the lot, septic on lot 2, septic tank on lot 2, and a building line on that, the lot.
Is it been considered a house, shown house on lot 1? Or what? How would you word it?
Well, they'll have to put a number on this to identify it.
Lot 3.
It'd be lot 3.
That's not part of this, it's subdivided on this part, so calling it another block, that's not part of what's under review today.
So how do you mark it?
Just by the landowner. It has a parcel ID.
That's the lot 3. The tax
It says now
parcel
we're
is identified.
so he has the recording information and the tax parcel on there, so. I would just suggest, like, like I said, if you want to, if the house is in reports, just have to add the house on.
Yeah, tax parcel's on it,
Okay.
so. So just say show the house on tax parcel, whatever that is there.
690150.
Okay. Good. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve Chad Young plan contingent upon approval from Beaver County Planning Commission and the additions of the septic tank marked on lot 2 and a house shown on tax parcel 6914400150.
To include building line.
To include building line.
I'll second it. Didn't know if I had all that to make the motion.
I was making sure that I had it on.
I think we did, I think we got it all. Okay, any questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Noes?
I'll call you tomorrow.
Just need those corrections. Chad?
Yes.
You need the corrections, bring it back to Lori. If she gets it in time for the supervisors meeting, you would present it to the supervisor.
Well, typically, though, I would like, the motion, the supervisors would be the same as yours, but I don't have anybody sign it until, like, nobody,
Yeah,
the
nobody.
engineer signs it first, then I bring it to you, then the supervisor, so. That's what I've done in the past, so
Yeah.
it can still be on the agenda for the board.
I doubt if anything will come back from Beaver County, it very seldom does, but
Yeah.
if they happen to find something, they'll let us know.
Alrighty.
Okay?
You're gonna have her work on this.
Well, we could do that under ordinance review. Since we're gonna do that. Okay, we don't have any preliminary plans, we don't have any old business. We have no additional use, so we'll go to ordinance review. Now, we've been working on ordinance review for probably 3-4 months now. And, OSS has given us language for each one of these. And we're just gonna go over them and see if we're all still in agreement on that. And if we are, then I want, OSS to put it all in order for us to vote on it at the next meeting if we get them all done. Okay? Vote on it will be to send it to the supervisors for corrections in the zoning ordinance. Maybe we'll be adding that one we brought up tonight. So. Okay, section 502 was area and yard requirements. was wasn't this the one for their irregular lots?
Yes.
Where we could put, section 502?
This one was just changing it to say that, corner lots are allowed to have accessory structures.
And then there's some requirements concerning site, depending on where you can put it on the lot. It has to be able to meet site requirements.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the same stuff from January.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought we were going to have a workshop to discuss this.
If it was needed.
Oh, it's needed.
Needed?
Uh-huh.
Alright, then we have to have a workshop. That one can't be approved yet.
I think that is tied into the discussion on the next one as well, the accessory structures in the front yard.
So we're gonna do a workshop for 502. Accessory structures on large lots. You're saying that ties into that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna be the workshop. When's our normal workshop?
First Wednesday of the month.
Second,
First Wednesday.
First Wednesday of the month. What's that make it?
Second.
April 2nd?
Yes, sir.
Can you make it?
Only if it rains. Yeah, you gonna do evening?
Well, we can decide.
And that's when, yeah, that's when it's advertised.
Right now, it's advertised for
For
6:30
6:30.
in the evening.
Okay.
You
I
make
have
it?
a commitment that night. I don't know.
Think so? Ed? I believe so. You want to notify the other missing members?
One thing I have on my schedule that night is I have a workshop meeting on my calendar just to keep that one, so. But I think you have a commitment, correct?
Yes, there's another meeting.
All right, I will do my best to fill your shoes. All right.
You'll have one of us.
I'm gonna skip landscaping and go to home business permitted square footage. You gave that to us last week. We might as well do these all in the workshop, just make it simple.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay? You okay with all of you? We'll just do all these, verify at the workshop, one night,
It's fine with me.
okay? You'll notice on the bottom is, there's the electronic signs. We did that one also. Okay, we'll just plan on doing that at the workshop. And with that, it'd be the landscaping. I know you did some work on it. Do you need to discuss them tonight, or you wanna do them at the
That is up to your pretty, if he wants to do it tonight, just to give you a heads up, or keep on informed, or we can go. just
How
give
long
him
will
a
it
second.
take you? To give us a heads up?
Yeah. I think, we will just depend on how long folks are gonna be here tonight, but, yeah, Alex did it.
You might notice I'm pushing it along.
Yeah, yeah.
If we're gonna do it
Before
at,
your-
if we're gonna do it at the workshop, we can just do it at the workshop.
Is that getting to be
I don't
a
think
lot
you're
for
gonna-
one workshop? That's
Yeah,
a
I don't
lot
think
for
there's
one
gonna be enough
workshop.
time to do it all in one workshop.
Then we'll do two then.
Okay.
If we
I
don't
can
get
talk
it
pretty
done.
fast, but yeah, it's up to you.
Say again?
I said I can talk pretty fast, but it's up to you, Al.
Well, one thing did come up in discussion about the landscaping stuff was included or excluded
Correct.
in this approach.
Correct.
What would be your comment on that?
Yeah, so I think overarching of the decision, because I think the Keystone Main Plan ordinance has a lot of merit, there's things in there, but kind of one of the things that Ashley had mentioned, that the Planning Association, American Association of Planners suggests that it's also built into some comprehensive plan work, which might take it a little bit more in depth. And our professional opinion is we hit something that's already created, called a Keystone National Plan ordinance, right? That's already here, it's already existing. And some of this goes into the depth of us changing specific things within our ordinance to meet something that's already created. So do we want to go into super in depth of changing multiple sections within our ordinance, or just tell people that they have to follow the native plan ordinance as it exists for Keystone native plans? Or subsection 8.
Yeah, right now, it really only applies to the PRD zoning district.
Yeah.
There are some buffer yards, I think, in the special exceptions and conditional uses that we could say we have to take from this native plant list as well, but the way that it's been written right now really just applies to PRDs.
I guess the concern was, just talking to individual members, the broadness of what's in the ordinance for this new, seating requirement. If it's just covering, detention ponds, for instance, the party would be satisfied with that. But if we're going beyond that throughout a development, wherever or whatever the development is, we may not be happy with that.
And I would agree with you on that notation, because again, anything dealing with stormwater control is under purview of DEP. It has to meet DEP requirements, as well as soon as we start hitting seed mixes, the seed mixes tend to be proprietary from like Ernst or from other things. So we can make suggestions in certain places to use a certain mix, but in all reality it creates a burden on, like you folks, the Youngs came in and wanted to do something, we're telling them you have to use this specific mix, and you go to some place that's not Tractor Supply, or you go to some place, even Ernst directly, that doesn't have that exact mix. We're kind of putting a burden on the developer. I believe the intent of what you brought from the planning commission to the board. So I think in terms of doing that to not create, because there is a difference between a developer coming in to do something. Those, again, stormwater controls taken by the DEP, they're not gonna approve something that doesn't meet that. And it's gonna go back and check. DEP this next year is actually gonna go out with a shovel and make sure that they have enough soil as what they promised. So their reach is getting vastly, pretty not overwhelming for folks, but if we hit within some of the certain stuff that I'll make sure when we talk at the workshop, we'll hit some of the more specifics that might be unnecessary, if that helps to kind of save time, and then we can build it back from there, just from a professional opinion, and doing some things. We can get to a happy medium where it's not, it doesn't hurt somebody like yourself, Alice, that wants to do something to your property. It's now someone wants to go above and beyond. All it is just bring it in front of us like a board, I'm a licensed landscape architect. If I'm not comfortable with it, I won't sign off on it. They don't get to do it. We represent you. Whereas if they come with something that meets, exceeds, they're always allowed to do more. But
Well, I guess, Alex, the concern is the growth of whatever the mix that you're proposing. I mean, does this stuff grow 6 inches high? Does it grow 2 feet high?
It just all depends. You can select for shorter species, taller species, wetland species, dry species. And what I've been working on is when those ponds, especially retention ponds, they go from the detention phase and then they're converted at the final phase. We wouldn't want a developer to go in and say, we got to plant this stuff immediately because it's going to sit for maybe several years while they do the building, right? It's at the final conversion that they convert it to that native plant. And my suggestion was just do the base and floor, because that's something nobody can really see anyways. They sit lower. So really, you could have shorter, taller species in there. And then around the sides, like I guess you would call them the walls or the slopes, you just have like a honeybee mix, which is your contractor mix, clovers, legumes, and your cool season non-native grasses. They can mow that. That way it's appealing for the residents, the public, and then also you're getting back some of that diversity you lost. Essentially, you're mitigating your land loss. You know, you're plowing up, you know, you're destroying 70 acres of a meadow. The developer is actually mitigating that without paying like a mitigation fee or a mitigation bank. So that's kind of a way, you know, that's how I see this working. And the developers that I've talked to seem to be totally on board with this. And it also looks good for the conservation district for Beaver County, because they want to see things like that too. So, and the developer can put those in the plans, you know, reference the native plant ordinance, have everything in their landscaping plan, and I think it's a win-win for everyone, where we don't have to go out and say, hey, you gotta
What I'm
conserve
hearing,
land somewhere else.
I'm not a professional in that area, so I'm relying on our consultants to direct us, and yourself, that you seem to be very knowledgeable on it. But the concern is that you put this stuff in, it grows 2 feet, 3 feet high, it doesn't get mowed. It just stays there. And that allows animals of different types, you know, to bed there, stay there for a long time when you're looking at residential developments.
Deer are gonna go in your yard, whether it's, you know, you have more deer in
Deer
Mount
wouldn't
Lebanon
be-
than.
Deer wouldn't be the problem, it'd be groundhogs, raccoons, that type of thing.
You're gonna get those regardless wherever you're at.
Now, the current developments that we have where the sod is cut, I can't see any groundhog problems. And when you get cover, I call it overgrowth, a lot of it, that's when you're gonna get groundhogs digging in. And then around our place, they're digging in under the buildings or instead of out in the open fields. And that's my concern, is overgrowth. It's not maintained, or it's gonna be a burden to the homeowners association to keep it cut. You could get all kind of stuff in there.
So it's a concern, the issue
Yeah.
is that it's concerned and we don't know.
Maybe in the basin of a retention pond or something, but to have large areas like that, I think is gonna be a problem.
It's, maybe you're looking at this wrong, right? You're thinking of a native plant looks like a giant mess, right? This is like formal landscaping, just with native plants. You prune them, you know, you clip them. It's not like how you're thinking. It's just in the basins where I'm talking about.
But when you talk about native grasses, that's a carpet, that spreads, and if it gets 2 feet tall, and I think I questioned you the last couple meetings ago about how many times a year, with the cut, you said once a year. Well, what can happen in a growing season with grasses that come up 2 feet tall?
Mhm.
And if it's in too large of an area, I think it could be problematic.
The issue is.
It could be.
Yeah,
But what's
like you
the
said, groundhogs, rats, mice, raccoons, and people in a residential setting really don't want to deal with that kind of problems.
Then
Okay,
they
we
should
have
stay in
a
an urban
comment
area.
over here.
Well, at Danbury Farms, there are 3 detention ponds, and we also have many hillsides. And our contract with the landscaper is to trim the hillsides 3 times a year, and the detention ponds are cleaned out 2 times a year. Now, there's one detention pond that Danbury does not maintain because it's owned by the Hard-Time Development, Hampton Roads, I think it was called. But we make sure the detention ponds are cut back. But we have over the hillside, which is right at Cranberry Township, that's where the groundhogs and the raccoons and everything are coming, because we have neighbors on Saddle Court that like to sit out on their patios, and one woman in particular is now putting a fence around her patio and cutting down all the trees because she's seen the raccoons, and she likes to be out there in the summer, so she says, I don't want the critters, I'm trying to get rid of the critters. So,
Well, the issue is,
but we cut it down, we have it by contract to do that, to maintain it.
what little I do know about how this stuff works is Conservation District and DEP want you to put stuff in that only gets cut at specific times and at a certain height. So, I don't know how you address that in your proposals and whatnot, but that's what we wanna talk about in.
Yeah, so I think
Sure.
for a workshop meeting, why don't you look at your list and see if you have things within there that you would wanna make suggestions on that would help quell their worry.
There's a concern.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, they're
So
valid
you
concerns,
need
and
to-
I'm not,
you need to
I think it all
address
needs to
that,
be addressed.
Find out what's what.
Okay,
And I'm not saying we can't implement some of those areas, you know, with the grasses and the taller vegetation, but I'm just saying we need to be careful how much of an area and where it's at in relation to the buildings themselves.
right, no, understood. Yeah, that's fair. I think we look at everything and address all the issues, comments, and go from there.
That was just some of the main stuff, so I'll just make sure when we present, we talk about it. And from my perspective, I just have to ensure that I'm not putting any liability on you all for you to
Yep.
make changes, or we're hitting something that's not, again, not excessive. My personal worry is before getting all that is, as we go deeper and deeper, talk about species and species and species and species and species, we could just reference something that already exists rather than.
No, I just recall conversations over the years when it comes to, you're not allowed to cut certain stuff down in certain places because you're trying to alleviate, water runoff, I guess is the right way to say it.
Yeah.
And it came up, I don't know exactly how you're addressing that, but that's what we need to make sure of.
Mhm.
So, anything you can work with, him with, that'd be fine.
Okay.
But we will discuss it in detail
Yeah.
with the, workshop.
I agree with you.
Yeah, there might be two of them.
Yeah, we'll see what we get. It's all good.
Actually, I know you want to make the second one.
Yes.
You can't make the first one.
No, I can't, I'm not reading that
Do
night.
we need to take, video of it so you can?
I'm sure John will have minutes and notes that I can take a look at.
So I gotta take notes.
I know.
I gotta feed everybody.
I'm
Okay.
ready to work then.
See?
Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll do that at the, workshop on the second. We'll start on the second and see what we get done.
Are we planning the second one now or not yet?
I planned the second one because,
Let's piece that and look at the calendar.
Artie's saying we can't get it done.
I mean, I can't imagine, but
I wish we could.
We'll just plan it and we don't have to do the second one.
So that would be
That would be May, and that's, we're
May.
just coming back from the
gosh.
conference that night.
Yeah, forward on that.
May
May
Seven.
7th.
7th.
Yeah, but I mean, you guys can meet.
you won't be
I won't be.
You wouldn't be able either
I'll be here.
on May 7th.
It's not done yet.
So you're not going with it.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay. We'll work it out then. Okay. Also, there's a new, document in your packet there from, Fellow Consulting. And John, you should get that as well. Our zoning officer went through the ordinances that we have and picked out areas where he felt a word change here or there would be more easily interpreted and apply it at the same time. So he has it's a 2-page document. Okay. It's zoning officer consultant, looks like yours, John.
Yes, yeah, I have that.
You have it? That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, Lori shared it.
We'll see if we can make those suggestions, so they'll have to be reviewed. Yeah.
We'll take part in it too.
Educational programs, have none. Do we have any discussion needs? Start with Ed? None? Art? None? Ed? None? Al? None? Okay. Closing comments, thanks for coming. We're missing 3 people. Hopefully they'll be here for the next meeting as well as the workshop.